I'm live. So we are arm wrestling today. Ready? Anyways, sleeve today, so I have my arm out. I was just seeing if it's the same length as my arm. And I feel like it's just close enough. Not that bad. So I was trying to figure out length, and it's hard to measure yourself, especially sleeve length, because first of all, if your measuring tape is bending like this, it's not going to hang. If you hold it up to yourself, it's not going to hang straight. So but one that has a better hang to it, it's probably going to be slightly easier, but still trying to get it to the right spot on your wrist. This is not something you should do yourself, although you can tuck it in your hair tie to where you want it to be and then measure up with your arm at a comfortable straightness, meaning your arm sometimes can be longer depending on how straight it is. And then you hold it up to where your shoulder seam is. And that's about 21 and a half. And this one is just about a half an inch longer. So you know what? I think it's negligible. I think that this is a good guesstimation of arm length, especially since I don't have the model's actual arm length. Hello, welcome. Hi, I am just already in project mode. Welcome. Thank you for coming to my stream. Hello, Yana Lip. Hello, Dan Does Junk. Not Top and Austin Lips. Welcome. I appreciate that you guys are here. So this week, Raul was over and he came and picked up the pink outfit. And we talked about this one and we wanted to see it with sleeves. So I'm going to keep this for about a week longer and then send it down there with sleeves. So I'm really excited that I get to add those. And I'm going to do big yellow cuffs to go with it. So that is the game plan. And so I need to add an arm to my girl when it's time to try it on the sleeves. But for now, I already have them. You know what? I lied. I need that measurement because this is skewed. Okay, so I will actually put the arm on and measure from up in the armhole. Can you guys see it there? I'm going to attach it to right here. On the other side, we're going to do this side. So, armhole. And arm. Okay. So I want to measure from the top of my thing to my sleeve, which is the same measurement that I just had. But I wanted to double check that this measurement wasn't different than this measurement because I was measuring from the top of my sleeve, the top of the arm, and then also this is hitting right at the top of the shoulder. So 22-inch length arm is completely normal within the normal, what is normal length of arms. It doesn't seem abnormal to me. It seems like, yes. Okay, measurements. I have those figured out. Now, I don't want to do it as a tight sleeve. I want to have an oversized blousey sleeve like I did with this one. But I don't. So her bicep is 10 inches. That sounds about right. I do 3 inches of ease. I don't think that's quite enough. What if I did 4? I think I'm going to add a full 6 inches of ease. Yeah, I like this volume. This is a good. So 16 for my underarm. I'll keep it straight. I don't want to taper it because I want to pleat it into a cuff. I do have to leave room for blousing, but I want my cuff to be a good 4-inch. Yeah, about a good 4 inches up. So I could do the length as that would give me that much of a blouse. Okay, so what are the measurements I'm talking about? I have to count for the real life arm size, the exaggerated shape that I'm trying to go for, and how much of the arm I'm going to give to the sleeve, the blousing of the sleeve, because I'm also going to blouse it slightly on the cap of the sleeve because most dress shirts have that, even not an exaggerated blouse, but just some easing, and I want that in there so that there's more movement and shape. But okay. I'm going to do this at the full 22 inches because I can always cut it down and adjust for the cuff. And the cuff can be attached at the bottom of the wrist, not just at the top. So I give myself room for that. Sorry, I just really was looking over the chat before I start patterning. And then also, what does it, can you guys see? I will adjust this paper as I need to. Hello, Eonolith and Austin Lips. My day is going good today. Thank you for asking. So I wanted my sleeve 16 inches wide. I have enough width. And then I wanted to do, I'm just going to draw my bicep line. I'm going to do it in bright market, so I cannot talk, so I'm only live, so of course I'm going to trip over my tongue. But I'm going to use marker so you guys can see, and we are going to kind of rough out the sleeve pattern so I can make adjustments on the mannequin. I want to do this about there. It's not really a tall sleeve, is it? 4 inches? Yeah. Okay. Yonalith, I hear doggos. Is it Toby? Yep, it is Toby. He is right underneath you guys. So I'm going to go 4 inches up above my bicep line. So I drew down my bicep line, and I'm going to go 4 inches for the cap of my sleeve. There really doesn't need to be much of a cap for the sleeve, but I'm going to give it about 4 inches because I think that's about how much I need. There's no scientific reason other than I'm eyeballing it and it looks about 4 inches. There's more rational of a reason, but it's too late for me to think of it right now. And I am just going to draw a line from here that is 22 inches long, straight down. Okay, 22 inches right there. 4 inches. All the way down to there. Make sure I am square. keep unsquaring. Shh, don't tell. I'm just giving myself some reference points to just start from. Okay. I have an X, I have a center line, I have a top of my sleeve, I have a bottom of the sleeve that you guys can't see, but we're not down there yet. We're going to work on this part of the sleeve. I want some gathers and some easing right in here. So I'm going to make sure that this is kind of wider. And we decided that 16 inches was going to be the bicep width for this one. So I'm going to do 8 inches on either side. And 16 right here. So I have that just marked out for now. It's actually just going to get squared off. It's not tapering in towards the wrist. So I'm just going to square straight down from that mark. On the side. Okay. Now, when I'm sewing my armholes together, I'm trying to think of how I'm going to put this. You always want it to fit smooth under your armpit. You don't ever really want gathers in your armpit. There are puff sleeves designs that do gather or have ruffles down here, but in general, even if you look at my sleeve right here, my sleeve, the gathers start at the halfway point of the armhole. From the top half has the gathers and the bottom half fits nice and snug and follows the curve of the armhole. So when I'm sewing that, I like when these two curves match up. So I pulled out my pattern from this guy right here, and it has the crazy armhole shape. I'm going to cut off the seam allowance so I have more of the actual shape. I'm slightly nervous to do that because I'm never gonna, I don't mind doing that. Anyways, this 1/2 inch seam allowance makes it so that they do not turn nicely. And I know that it is exactly this, and I can add seam allowance later, but I want to follow this curve. I have to twist this around in my head. Let me see. This is the top of my arm. It's going to sew together. This is here. And that we need this curve right here. I'm meeting this corner at my side seam to the end of where my sleeve is going to be, and I'm only going to follow it up to about here so that I have this weird curve, and then I'm going to flip it over and do this weird curve over here just because I really like it when it just fits together. I'm not going to go any past that. I can go from there. And then on this side, let me mark my seam because I really need that as a mark. As a reference point, so I know where I'm at. Okay. And this is the back side. So I just put that side. to do the back side. Okay, that has that weird armhole shape that this already has built into it. Now my number 17 French curve in slightly purple. And find a pretty curve to do this. That feels nice. And don't worry, this doesn't have to be final. I'm just kind of getting a shape that I like. All right. Not bad. I know it looks a little unconventional, but this is the back. And this is the front. And then this is the center seam. And I think that's going to fit very nicely. Now let me square off the hem. So now all I need to do is just square this up. Austin, yes. Felicia, are you making it the same dress from the start of 18 part? Yes, this is the same dress that I was working on for the avant-garde dresses. This is the blue one. The pink one that I made with the circle skirt is already in its new home, out of my responsibility, not my problem anymore. Now it gets to go be beautiful. This one I'm adding sleeves to because sleeves would make it amazing. And yes, sleeves, please and thank you. And then it's going to go down later. So I believe they're just going to be shot on the same day, but this one I am holding on to till I finish the sleeves because sleeves. We talked about sleeves in the beginning, and then after seeing it, I'm excited that it gets the sleeves because I think it's really it needs the sleeves in my opinion. Okay. Yana, for me, I would make those into theater gloves because any pressure on my shoulder just hurts so much. Interesting. The pink one's going to get theater gloves as one of its accessories. So yes, we did discuss theater gloves. That's why I originally didn't put sleeves on it, but yay. Yana, let's say hi to Gonzo for us. Just saying his name makes me want to make puppets, LOL. Funny thing is I made a lot of puppets for Gonzo. Yep. One named Bubblegum. Several that don't have names. Yes, but I've made a lot of puppets for Raul, Gonzo. Funny that you think of puppets when you hear his name. I didn't add seam allowance. The curve fits, I'm going to add a 1/2 inch at the hem. I'm not going to stress out about it, but I did just eyeball the shape. So it's the shape's the most important part, and I do have seam allowance on these. I haven't cut yet, so putting seam allowance on the curve is the hardest part anyways. So yep, that's already at a 1/2 inch. Let me add a 1/2 inch on this side. There we go. You guys can see I'm adding 1/2 inch here. Pamputa Zone, all in one. Hi, well, welcome. Sorry if I butchered your name. Okay. This side is already a 1/2 inch square from this side, so I don't have to trim it, but this side I have to trim 1/2 inch off because we are pretty rectangular in this shape so far. Trying to cut for camera, it's not as easy as cutting it for reels. Okay, and let me cut off. All right, with all this trimmed down, let me see if it is, if there's enough up here, because if not, I'll slice it down here and I'll spread it, because I think there's definitely enough down here at the wrist. But if I feel like there needs to be more, I might just split it down the middle and just spread it to give me more. Let me just get it on the sleeve here. Tilt it ever so slightly so you guys can see. A little more right there. Pin it at the seam allowance so we have a tube we're working with. This tube goes here. That attaches at the side seam. Goes up and over. All right, so I do want a little bit more blouse at the top of the sleeve, but I don't need any more at the wrist. It is way more than a bulky enough. If anything, I think I might taper it down. So what I'm going to do is I am going to slice this to the hem, but not through the hem. And now I'm just going to give it about 2 inches of easement, because that I can really ease in with this stretchy fabric easily. Scrap of paper. Okay. Tape. Let me spread this 2 inches wide. Okay. You might want to curve that piece so the sleeve sits right. This part and this part right here are where I really want it to sit comfortably, is right at the armpit, right here and right here. And I traced them directly from the pattern. This is my back and this is my front. So I'm going to have to do 2 different sleeves. But then I'm adding some ease at the cap right here. I could add a little height, but I don't really think I need that much cap height. I think I need more space. So I'm just adding more poof to my sleeve at the center. And I should mark where the ends of my curves are, which is right here and right here. Okay. Now this. All right, I added a scrap piece of paper, but it's the wedge tape right there to give it a little more ease. Let me add just a piece of tape on the back. So right here is the front dart, and right here, you guys can't see what I'm marking. So typically the front of the sleeve is marked with 1 notch and the back of the sleeve is marked with another notch, for exactly the reason that I just did all of this weird patterning, so that this part of the sleeve fits the armhole curve comfortably. And then right about at the mid of the armpit, you start adding that extra gather that then gathers down into the sleeve cap. That gives you more movement and rotation for your shoulder joint. And so from the double notches and the single notch down should be fitted to the garment. And then from this point, you guys can't see where I'm pointing to on this board mannequin, but from this point and this point up, this gathers to make the sleeve curve into that cap. And this is true for any type of sleeve. Yeah. Okay, now I just need to cut 2 of these out of fabric now that I figured out what the sleeve needs to look like. And I have the fabric here. A minute. These are the scissors I want to cut with. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Easily distracted right now. My brain is thinking about a lot of things. So I am finding my salvage edge because I know this edge is completely straight, where my cut edge, who knows how straight it is. But how wide is my pattern? It's pretty wide, isn't it? Extra fabric right there. Don't want it hanging off the table. Focus on first things first. One moment. All right, I got this. Okay. Let's straighten this seam. Letting the fabric fall where it wants to, making sure that I am nice and flat. Is this too narrow? Yes, it is. Every time, it's okay. How far do I need to take it over? About an inch. I really am glad that of the two, the blue velvet, which is the easier of the three velvets, is the one that ends up with the sleeves. I think it really works with it though. Okay. So my pattern just paper airplaned across the room. I'm going to go grab that. In just a second. On the other side of the thing, so if it gets knocked over, I'm not going to cry. Oh, that is absolutely lovely. Okay. You know, I have actual nice pattern weights, but I really just like using these big discs as my weights. Ready to cut with me? It's all right. Everyone's watching. Sharp scissors make the job easy. Dull scissors make me want to cry. So I have my fabric folded in half, so I'm cutting out in a left and a right as we speak. So if you cut it on the fold, you are getting a left side and a right side, but you definitely need a left side and a right side. I was wondering why my computer was so dusty, and just look at all that dust. Makes complete sense now why it was so dusty and why you need to clear out your sewing machines. Because when you sew with these fabrics, you're releasing a lot of fibers that get everywhere, especially your sewing machines. Corner. Normally I get up and change my angle that I'm standing around the table to cut, because I'd rather change my entire body position than change the fabric position, but I don't like these rough edges on my fabric. I'm just going to cut it off. Right there. Okay. Pattern pile, and I have two. I didn't mark my notches. I am just going to mark little pin on the fronts. And yellow pins on the back. Okay. Knot top, do you need to add some space near the armpit? That is a very good question. So I have seam allowance on either side. I copied the armpit curves directly from the curve of my pattern. So the front curve matches this part to here, and the back part matches to about here. Because on your armpits, you don't want to have any gathering. So look at my lovely armpit. Look at my armpit, everybody. There's no gathering of this puff sleeve. This is definitely a fully puffed sleeve. It's puffed at both the bottom and the top, but where it attaches to the bodice, mid armhole up, there's gathers. Mid armhole down, there's no gathers. So this curve right here is going to fit right up in here, almost exactly up until the middle of the armpit. And then we're going to have the gathers. I added 2 extra inches of easing gathers, because typically on a dress shirt or on a woven straight sleeve cap, you'd still have about a full inch of ease that you just doesn't necessarily translate into full gathers like this lovely sleeve, but gives you just that sleeve puff to give you more movement. So 2 inches isn't that much, but I added in this weird design. I think it's good. I think it works pretty well. I still have plenty of fabric if it doesn't, but You don't want gathers in the armpits. I don't know if that's what you were asking, but I don't think I need to add more space at the armpit, but I did add to the sleeve cap. Don't fall. Okay. Let me put these back where I got those from. And I did not plug in my sewing machine before the stream. That's okay. I will do it. Okay, let me see. I have blue thread here. Okay. Okay, that is threaded. I'm tangled in my thread there. Let me go and plug in my sewing machine. Can't use either of those plugs. Okay. We have power. Okay, I want a stretch stitch because this is a stretch fabric. That's number 39 on my sewing machine. And I'm going to increase the stitch length a couple of beeps. My scientific term, it's computerized, so I don't know how have to know very specific, just a couple extra to account for the loft of the fabric because it's a little bit bulkier than just something flat. And let me line these up. Yeah, I probably should use pins. No, I'm not going to. Don't tell, okay? Okay. Oh, I'm shaking the whole table, so it's knocking things over. Okay, I'm fine. So when I am trying to make sure that things line up at the end, before I get close to the end, I make sure that I'm holding the ends together so that the tensions and ease of the seam do whatever they got to do so that they line up at the end. I know that makes no sense, but it's a tangible thing that when you start making things, it's like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, if I was to put one pin in, it's at the end where I need it all to line up. It's a little tight in the, no, actually that's not good, too bad, but I am going to loosen up the tension ever so slightly. And we have a sleeve that functions as a sleeve. All right, let me get the other one done so I can actually celebrate. Okay. I don't like starting at the hem and working towards my armpit because if it's going to get off, I want it to be off at the hem and not at the armpit where I want everything to line up perfectly. So I start where I need it to all line up perfectly because I'm in control of starting it off. But as you feed the fabric through the sewing machine, the velvet likes to act differently on the top or the bottom because it's slightly silkier on this side or blah, blah, blah. But you hold it towards the end, and if it gets off a little bit, you can like smoosh it, make it work, but start off at the beginning pretty on point. Don't worry, now that I said something, I can't do it. Shh. Okay, there we go. That is where it all needs to be. And I don't need to back stitch because this is a back stitch. It's a stretch stitch, so every stitch it goes back and forth. Okay. I'm starting to sniffle. I think I'm starting to get little fuzzies. All right. Let me figure out which side goes on which now. Okay. So it should fit to about there without gathering, and to right about there without gathering. Okay, let me see. This is my side seam right here, straight down. Okay, so about the mid of the armpit on both sides, there's no gathering. And then this should gather kind of up into it. I have to add some easing stitches before I can do that, but I just really wanted to make sure that this was going to fit in the space before I did. So what is this ease stitching? I am going to leave these pins in. It was right about here. So I kind of know what to go between. And I am going to do a straight stitch. Now I'm going to mess with my machine settings. So let me show you. Let me plug this guy in. All right. So I'm going to keep it at a straight stitch. So I'm not changing the stitch at all. But what I am doing is I'm making it as long of a stitch length as I can. So I'm increasing the stitch length until it tells me I can't anymore. And then this is my tension right here. This is a little wheel that I can spin. And I'm going to increase the tension to about 8. That might be too much. I might only need to go to 7. I'm going to start at 7. 4 is normal. That's regular tension. Loosening it up to about 5. That's what I kind of did just to sew with this fabric in general. So I'm loosening it up to 7. I don't want it super tight. Why am I making it loose? So that it gathers. Wait. I'm making the tension tighter so that it gathers. If I loosen it, the number's smaller. Sorry. Wanted to make sure that I said this correctly. It's late at night. So I made the tension higher so that it gathers. If I wanted to loosen the tension, it would not gather. So I raised the tension to about a 7. And then I'm going to start with 1 row of easing and then do up to 3 rows of ease stitching. Here, let me turn. Right here. Okay. So I'm going to go within my seam allowance, so just on the edge, the very, very edge that I can, but I don't want to be too much on the edge because I don't want it getting stuck or gunked into my sewing machine. Stitch length is high. Oops. I'm stepping on the presser foot, but it's not plugged in, so. Dang. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Doing it too well. Shh. Okay. I'm not back stitching because I want to be able to tighten it, and I'm leaving long tails. So that's one row. I think I can honestly get away with 2 rows. I'm going to do another row just on the inside of that stitching that I did, because it's going to gather even more, just ever so slightly. Okay. I'm going to just pull on these ever so slightly. I'm going to do one more row and just be a little bit more aggressive in the gathers ever so slightly. All right, there we go. Now it has kind of this eased in cup. So it doesn't necessarily have noticeable puffiness to it. All that extra gathers can be hidden in the side seam, in the sleeve, but it still adds that bulkiness and that blousiness that you need to move, and it gives you that shape. Okay, let me do it on this side too. This is on, let me just mark where these are for you guys so you guys can see where I'm gathering to. So these pins represent the notches of on the sleeve pattern. Let me just double check that I have it in the right spot. That side it is right. Okay. So the notches, I'm using these giant pins so you guys can kind of see that I'm going between the 2 pins and not necessarily in the armpit. So 3 rows of E-stitching looks like what I need. I'll start at the narrowest edge and then I will just work my way in. One thing I'm doing that I didn't tell you guys is I'm putting my finger here at the back of the presser foot and not letting the fabric easily flow through. Why? Because it makes it gather ever so slightly in the exact way that I want it to gather. So putting the pressure back here and not letting the fabric through will add to your easing, and you don't necessarily have to pull on your fabric. That with the tension increased will give you easy easing. But see, it starts to get bulky, and then let it go and it's a little slightly gathered without having huge puckers. Or a pucker wouldn't be bad, but it's not necessary. We don't need them. and I'm leaving myself long tails so I can adjust this gathering as I need to and not accidentally pull it out, because I've done that before. And then you lose all your gathers. All right, row 2. Ionolith. Enamel pins. I need to get myself a pin portfolio to put all my enamel pins in. That's awesome. I have some from Disneyland because I tend to get at least one little pin every year. And then at the media center, the owner, he has a whole wall full of just enamel pins that are framed and lit. It looks really nice. I think that was a really nice way to do it. But every time I buy the pins, I intend to wear them, and I want an outfit where all my pins work. I do wear them, but I want an outfit full of pins. My dad puts all of his pins on his little Indiana Jones hat. I like it. Reminds me of a Boy Scout. This pin is just bothering me. I can see where I'm stopping. Sorry. Okay. And one more row. And I just have to remember I can be really aggressive in this gathering. It's not a lightweight fabrics, they'll gather really easy. Heavier weight fabrics, they don't gather as easy. So sometimes like you're trying to be gentle and you're like, no, this fabric is just like, it needs to be shoved in there and just gathered. And others, you just need to barely touch it and it goes. Ooh. Austin Lips wants to learn how to weld. Ionolith knows how to weld. That's awesome. I want to do way more welding than I do. Last welding project I pawned off onto my little brother and he ended up doing it for me. But learning how to solder, that's always fun for me. Not to watch necessarily. Okay. So I have my sleeves. I have 2 of them. Now I have to hand sew them into this top, and that's going to be really boring. So I'm going to call it a night. Here. So I'm going to call it a night tonight. And then I'm going to do the cuffs later on the next live stream because my brain doesn't want to chew on the cuffs yet. I just want to get these attached, and then I want to see what they look like, and I want to put rubber bands on the wrist to poof them up how poofy I want them to be, and then see where I want to put the cuff from there. So that's kind of my plan, but I can't do that until I stitch it in place. And now it's the sleeve. Now it is ready to be stitched in. This lines up perfectly to where it needs to go. And then it gathers into this section right here. And it lines back up on the back end. So I have a nice poofy sleeve. I'm going to cuff it and drape it. And I'm really really excited that this one's going to end up with sleeves. I think she's going to go great with sleeves. So that is the plan. Not top. What were you welding? I wanted a thimble ring. And so I had a ring, I had a thimble, and I wanted them welded together. Just a simple job, but it turned out really cool. And now I want another one because I got that one, not confiscated, but somebody else decided they really liked it. And I decided they needed it more than I did. So now I need a new one because I really liked having a thimble ring. It holds like 5 needles, but when you are doing something intricate, I like that because I don't necessarily will wear it on my wrist, but I will. I like having a thimble ring. So, but yeah, that was the last project that I welded. Made my brother weld for me, and now I have to weld it myself. I lied. Nope, that's soldering. That was soldering. That was soldering. That was the electronics for the Ghostbusters backpacks with Odin. That was soldering that we did. It didn't do any actual welding. The welding I did was for that stupid ring, and I really want another one. Sleep. Well, Felicia, thanks for the live stream. You're going to finish this now, or will you live stream tomorrow? I am going to stitch this in. I may not live stream tomorrow because I might be stitching this in tomorrow, and it's boring to hand stitch and live stream, I've decided. So the boring hand stitching that I have to do on this, I will do while I watch TV. And then after that part's done, when I'm ready to add the cuffs, I'm going to go live again. So keep an eye out. I did say that I was going to go live before I actually went live on Instagram. So if you're following me on Instagram at Behind the Scenes Fashions, I will notify a few hours at least before I go live to help you guys know when I am going to work on that part of it. It probably will be in the evening. I know the mornings work better. And now that I said that, watch it be in the morning. But I'll let you guys know. But that's the game plan. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you for liking the stream. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for being here. If you made it this far. I will let you guys know when I have this done, and I will go live and we will finish up the cuffs. So, yay! Till next time. Bye. Okay. Now I think I'm ended.